Our world is in crisis and is largely because of what we eat. Our food choices are not only having a negative effect on our individual health, but they're also having a negative effect on our planet. You can do something about that by hosting your own cooking show, but there's a very important journey that you're going to have to go on first. A lot of people come to me wanting to have a cooking show and they just can't seem to make it happen, and that's because hosting a cooking show is really about something much bigger than just cooking. For most people, hosting a cooking show is going to require going on a journey of personal transformation. And that's also true for any big goals that you have in life. To get the big things that you want in life requires personal transformation. You have to become the person who gets up every day and takes the actions that will deliver what you want. You have to become the person who creates time in your schedule to do the things that will deliver what you want, because you're never going to just find time or have some free time that you can apply to your big goals. You have to become the person who creates time for the things that are important to you. You have to transform. If you want to run a marathon, you have to think about nutrition and take the actions of putting yourself on a daily eating and training plan that's specific to people who are training for a marathon. You have to lace up your shoes every day and go put in some miles. If you want to learn how to swim, you have to get into a pool. If you want to learn how to cook, you have to get into the kitchen and start cooking and learning. If you want to host a cooking show and teach people how to cook, you have to stand in front of a camera and cook. And for most people, standing in front of a camera and cooking is going to require going on a personal transformation journey, because you're going to have to become a person who embraces standing in front of a camera and putting yourself out there in front of the world. Right now, you may not like the idea of that or might not feel comfortable with it, which is exactly why getting what you want is going to require you to go on a journey of personal transformation. What you have to understand is that nobody starts out comfortable standing in front of the camera. The people who you see doing it successfully at a high level are people who started out doing it scared and kept doing it and getting better and better at it until it became great at it. Nobody starts out great. Greatness comes from putting in the repetitions. The people at the top of any field are the people who decided that they wanted to be at the top, and they went on a personal transformation journey to become the person who they needed to become in order to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. You're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to either level up or be happy with the level that you're currently on, because the person who you are right now is not doing the things necessary for you to have a cooking show. The only way you'll ever have a cooking show is by you becoming the person who does what is required for you to have a cooking show. It's not easy, but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth anything. I had to go on this personal transformation journey, so I get it. It's not easy, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. I used to hate being in front of a camera, but I knew I had to learn how to do it and get comfortable with it in order to get what I want out of life. And now making these videos is the easiest thing in the world for me to do, and I enjoy it because it makes it easy for me to get what I want out of life. So the thing that you don't want to do right now can ultimately become your favorite thing to do if you ever decide to embrace a journey of personal transformation. The alternative is you stay who you are and you stay where you are and keep living exactly how you're living right now. If you're happy with that, then you don't have to do anything. Change nothing and nothing will change. But if you're not happy with how you're living right now, then you have to become the person who does the things that are necessary to deliver the life that you want. There's also a much bigger picture for you to consider. Millions of people in the United States are suffering in poor health due to bad diets, but it's not really their fault because our food system has been set up to only offer poor choices. The federal government is supposed to be protecting us, but it's actually a major part of the problem.
We've got an epidemic, and that epidemic of obesity and kids being overweight absolutely leads to a radical increase in the number of people with diabetes. And it's not only diabetes, it's other related illnesses. So keeping kids healthy and away from ultra-processed food, unhealthy food, enormously important for the well-being of our people.
In a free market, can large food companies be held responsible or culpable for
that's a great
choices?
That's a great question, and the answer, I think, is yes. And, we learned something in terms of what Congress did 50 years ago. The Congress had the guts to say to the tobacco industry, very powerful people, sorry, you can't cause hundreds of thousands of people to die every year by enticing them to smoke. And as a result of that and other public health measures, by the way, we have reduced the amount of smoking in America very significantly.
You see the food industry in some ways akin to big tobacco.
Absolutely.
Decades ago.
Absolutely. And in fact, their strategies and their tactics are akin to big tobacco.
What's the cost to society?
Diabetes itself, I think, is running up a cost in healthcare dollars of some $400 billion. Unless we get a handle on this issue, that it will grow. So bad food, obesity, diabetes is a very expensive proposition for the American people.
The responsibility of regulating foods falls mostly in the lap of the Food and Drug Administration, which regulates about 80% of the American food supply. I spoke with the FDA commissioner to learn how they do it. How does a new additive, a new chemical that's not been on the market, get introduced into our food systems? And what role does the FDA play there?
If someone wants to add something to food, they have to petition the FDA, and the FDA has to consider the evidence about that substance. There's a term called GRAS, and in order for something to be qualified as GRAS, there has to be a consensus of the scientific community and the evidence that it actually is safe.
GRAS substances are food additives that are generally recognized as safe. The designation was created in 1958 to waive FDA review of common, time-tested ingredients like vinegar and baking soda. Companies could petition the FDA to have a substance added to the GRAS list. But in 1997, the FDA loosened the protocol, allowing companies themselves to declare substances as GRAS without notifying the agency. Experts like Emily Broad-Lieb, director of Harvard's Food Law and Policy Clinic, says this creates a loophole that gives companies a provisional green light.
Thousands of substances have entered the food supply during that, using that mechanism. And again, FDA can always afterwards say something is no longer generally recognized as safe. They've done that with artificial trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils. But there's so many substances that, it really is, I think, challenging given the resources FDA has to really be on top of that all the time.
The Environmental Working Group, a nonprofit, found of nearly 800 food chemicals introduced between 2000 and 2021, 99% of them avoided FDA scrutiny using the GRAS designation. But the number is likely even higher. It doesn't include the unreported declarations. GRAS is a pathway that many companies have used the vast majority of times, as opposed to petitioning.
We're looking at every aspect of what we do. And as we've just discussed, there are laws that govern these patterns of how one gets things on the market and how they're regulated and then evaluated. I think in this era of technology, there's going to need to be a change in how we look at these issues.
One report estimates the number of chemicals approved for the use in U.S. food to be around 10,000 as of 2011. Nearly 5,300 FDA-approved additives and more than 4,600 GRAS substances. In comparison, their European Union has only approved over 400 additives and does not have a GRAS equivalent. How do we account for that disparity, and how is it that some chemicals that are in our foods have long been banned elsewhere?
Different societies have different degrees of tolerance for uncertainty, and different laws that determine what the regulators can do as substances are added. America's a country that likes individual choice and access in general. And I think our laws reflect that sort of national sentiment.
Individual choice is a great thing, but are we really being given a choice when the food companies are allowed to put whatever they want into our food and the federal government allows them to do it? You can do something about this by using your cooking show to educate people so that they can make better choices for themselves and for their family. The Center for Disease Control has listed strokes as the 4th leading cause of death in the United States and stated that 80% of those strokes are preventable through dietary changes. People are literally eating themselves to death or disability. And according to the data, Black adults are at twice the risk for having a stroke as white adults. You can do something about this. You can use your cooking show to teach people how to eat to live by avoiding all the ultra-processed food that the food companies and the federal government are in cahoots to serve us. People are making bad food choices because absolutely every option in front of them is a bad choice, even if the packaging says it's healthy. There's no regulation on what can be labeled as healthy or organic, so those terms really don't mean what people think they mean. High blood pressure and diabetes don't run in a lot of families. Bad diets that produce high blood pressure and diabetes run in a lot of families. And it's not because people don't care. You can try to eat healthy and think you're eating healthy and still not be eating healthy because we don't actually know what's in the food on our grocery store shelves because the U.S. government allows the food companies to keep that information hidden from us. If you see yourself as a food educator, you can change the health outcomes and life expectancy for entire families right now and for generations to come by using your cooking show to teach people how to eat better. With your cooking show, there's so much more at stake than you may realize. You really can use your cooking skills to have an impact on people's lives simply by sharing your knowledge. This probably sounds good to you, but the truth is most chefs are going to have to go on a personal transformation journey in order for any of this to be possible. Dreaming about a cooking show is never going to make it happen. You will never save a life with your dreams, but you can absolutely save lives with your cooking show. I don't know about you, but I don't know any family that has not been impacted by strokes and diabetes, including my family. Well, I'm doing something about it because Hollywood, the U.S. government, and the food and drug companies certainly aren't going to. All Hollywood is going to do is keep cranking out cooking competitions with fake drama when we have real life and death food issues that food TV should be addressing. The U.S. government is a major part of the problem because it heavily subsidizes corn and soybean production, which are the main ingredients in the processed foods that are killing us.
Corn and soybeans alone accounted for more than half of all total farm crop income that year. So why corn and soybeans? They play an important role in a few industries. For one, global meat consumption continues to grow, and that livestock needs to eat. Corn and soybeans are used in processed foods, which make up over half of Americans' diets.
These same agriculture policies that are driving our trade deficit are driving poor health. Subsidies are a major driver of Americans' diets. The foods that the government subsidizes, those are the foods that are going to be more readily available and more affordable to our citizens.
Health experts have linked our high commodity consumption with the country's growing obesity rate. Fruit and vegetable production is on a decline. And despite an increase in availability due to a large rise in imports, less than 20% of U.S. adults eat enough fruits and vegetables.
The food and drug industrial complex is just going to keep cranking out ultra-processed foods full of salt, sugar, and chemicals that will result in people having to get put on pills that they'll be taking for the rest of their life.
Who do you think is hurt most by our current state of food guidance?
People who don't have any money.
Why is that?
Oh, because they don't have any money. They can't buy healthy food. Healthy food costs more. We're in an inflationary time right now, and the cost of all foods have gone up. But the costs of fruits, vegetables, grains, whole foods has gone up much higher than the cost of processed foods. Ultra-processed foods, the costs have gone up, but less. Considerably less. And so when poor people say, we can't afford to buy fruits and vegetables, we're going to have to throw out part of them, they're perishable, we can't keep them, they're more expensive, they are more expensive. That's a true observation.
Do you think those companies are also targeting poor people with advertising more?
Which companies?
The food companies, the junk food companies?
Oh, of course they are. Yeah.
What evidence do we have of that?
We have studies that show, we have research reports that look at the amount of money that's being spent on food marketing and where that marketing is targeted, and show very clearly that it's targeted at Black and Hispanic communities, low-income communities, kids. I mean, let's talk about marketing to children because I think that's the most egregious thing. Sure. And, I remember I was invited during the Obama era to a meeting at the White House on food marketing to children. Mrs. Obama ran it. And it was, she gave a very eloquent speech at that meeting telling food companies that they really had to back off on marketing to children. It was unethical. It was not helping kids' health. Children are becoming obese in a way that they never used to be. And this really needs to change. And afterwards, we broke into smaller groups and met for non-quotable discussions. And they were supposed to be very frank discussions about the issue. And a food industry executive, who I won't name, said very clearly, I wish we could stop marketing to children. I don't think it's ethical. I wish we didn't have to do it. But our stockholders won't let us stop because that's where their profits are. And when I'm at my most cynical, I try not to be cynical, but when I'm at my most cynical, I ask the question, who would benefit? What corporate entities would benefit if people ate healthfully? And I'm very hard-pressed to think of any, except not-for-profit HMOs, health maintenance organizations, and there are very few of those in the United States. But they're the only corporate entity that I can think of, and they're not-for-profit. But once you're into a profit mode, your job is to make more profit. And if there's one, message to get across, eating less is terrible for business. That's why they're frantic. These companies are frantic about the new obesity drugs. Nestle, no relation, is coming out with a line of products aimed at people who are taking the obesity drugs. You read in the paper every day about how worried they are that people are going to eat less. This is not going to be good for business.
The food and drug industrial complex is making tens of billions of dollars per year from producing unhealthy food and then selling people medication for the rest of their lives. You can use your cooking show to address those issues and do it in an entertaining manner. And you can earn a great living in the process. Eating healthy can and should be fun and sexy, and you have the ability to teach people how to do it. And I'm here to help you. I've created a Food TV Council as a training and support resource to help you go on your personal transformation journey. But you have to decide to begin your personal transformation journey and then take action and sign up to get help, because nobody can do a personal transformation journey by themselves. This is why so many people get stuck and can't figure out why. The Food TV Council is where you can learn how to get comfortable in front of a camera without having to do it in front of the whole world. I had to learn how to get comfortable on camera the hard way and without any guidance or support. So I know how intimidating the thought of standing in front of a camera can be, potentially looking bad in front of the world. By joining the Food TV Council, you can take the safe and easy road to creating your cooking show and building your own platform for entertaining people while you educate them about how to eat healthy. So you can get what you want, you just have to be willing to become the person who does the things that will deliver what you want. If you want your own cooking show, joining our Food TV Council is the easiest way for you to move past everything that's been stopping you. Personal transformation is not easy, but it's absolutely worth it. You only get one life, and you can either be the person you're capable of being and live the best life you're capable of living, or you can just blow the opportunity because you don't get a do-over when it comes to life. This one life is the only one you're going to get, and the people out here getting the most out of life are always challenging themselves to go to their next level. That means embracing personal transformation instead of running away from it. There's no better way for a chef to pursue higher levels in life than hosting your own cooking show, and the Food TV Council is here to help you do it. You already have what it takes to succeed. You just have to get out of your own head and get out of your own way and give yourself a chance to do what you're capable of doing. YouTube is the #1 TV streaming app in U.S. households. That means if you have a cooking show on YouTube, you have a cooking show on TV. That means you can take the information on healthy eating directly to people inside their homes and earn a fantastic living for yourself in the process. By hosting a cooking show, you can do well for yourself and for your family by doing good out in the world. But to do that, you have to get started. When you're ready, the Food TV Council is here to help you. Use the link in the description box for more information.